Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we are going to be creating our onboarding view. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to create a new empty file and we're going to call this onboarding view. All right. And this onboarding view is basically going to be your main view for our onboarding flow. It controls the page view, pagination, button to move forward or to complete the flow, and a escape button. Now it interacts directly with the onboarding view model to track the state and responds to user interactions. Let's start with an import statement to SwiftUI framework. We're going to create our struct of onboarding view. We will start with state property to initialize or create an instance of our view model. Okay, we will initialize our view model inside the initializer that we're going to create for this view. So let's go ahead and move to the next step. We need an environment property to be able to dismiss our view. So we're going to call dismiss environment property, and we're going to create a private variable called dismiss for this. Okay, next we are going to create initializer. This initializer will initialize the view to prepare the view model, passing all these steps and the closure function. Okay, so we're going to create our init, and this init it should expect not the view model but the steps, which is going to be an array of onboarding step along with completion handler, so on complete. Okay, we're gonna provide a default for this, so we actually can let users skip if they don't want to provide a completion block. Now we're gonna initialize our view model, so we're gonna reach out to the underlying property for the view model underscore view model, and then we're gonna initialize with the wrapped value, and wrapped value is going to pass the initialization step and on complete directly to the view model initializer. So if I try to jump into the definition, let's see, this is going directly inside. So let's do this. Let's explicitly define this, but this is basically creating a state property right here, but we'll actually make it more obvious. Okay, so instead of using .init, we're going to use state and we're going to paste. So this is essentially the same thing. What you're doing is you're initializing the underlying state property for the view model with the initial steps. Okay, and this init is representing different thing. This init is representing your onboarding view model. So we can actually make that explicit as well. All right. Okay, so with that, our initializer is ready and we can move on to the body property. And the body property for this one is going to be first wrapped inside a geometry reader, providing a geometry proxy with vstack and spacing that we are interested in is basically 0 points. We don't want any default spacing because we're going to be adding spacing and padding inside our views, subviews that we're going to create. Okay, so we're going to have few subviews. So we're going to have a header view, we're going to have content scroll view, and we're going to have bottom navigation view. Okay, and once we have define all these views, we're going to uncomment this code, but these are 3 views that are going to basically be used to compose or build this UI. Now once we have define all the views, we're going to actually set a frame for this guy with max width as infinity, max height as infinity, so it can cover the entire screen. let's go ahead and set the background as black, and we want to define on appear. And when the view appears, we want to make sure that first thing we do is we update the screen size with geometry.size. Okay, so that actually will give us the geometry, and then we also want to observe the changes in the screen. So we're going to say whenever the geometry.size changes, we get old value and new value. We are not using old value, so we're just going to replace it with underscore. And for the new value, we're going to use the update screen size function and pass the new value into that, or the new size. Okay, we're going to make sure that the entire view is presented in the dark mode. So we're going to say preferred color scheme is going to be dark, and now we have the basic structure ready. Okay, now let's go ahead and create views to replace all these, like, commented sections. So we're going to start with the header view. Now the header view is going to add a skip button at the top, so user can dismiss the onboarding flow anytime. Okay, so this is going to be a computed property, private var header view, and this is going to be an H stack with a button. Title is going to be skip. It's going to call dismiss function right here, and the foreground style is going to be white. The font is going to be body dot weight medium. We're going to add a spacer, and let's go ahead and add some padding and horizontal direction for 24 points and padding for vertical direction, actually not vertical, just top, for 16 points. Okay, let's go ahead and set the background as ultra thin material in a capsule shape. There we go. Perfect. So that is our header view. So now we can uncomment this, and we have our header view ready. Next, we're going to create our content scroll view. So we're going to create a private variable, content scroll view. This is again going to be a return some sort of view. Okay, and we're going to start with a scroll view. All right, scroll view is going to scroll in horizontal direction. So if I go ahead and present, like, the view that we are creating, this is a scroll view, and we are scrolling horizontally on this view. So that's why we are creating a horizontal scroll view. Then we're going to create a lazy H stack here. This will lazily load all the child elements. So this is similar to, if you're coming from UIKit, similar to reusing the cell that is no longer visible on the screen. Okay, so it's much more efficient in the initialization. So for the spacing, we're going to set as 0, and then inside the body, we're going to create a for each view. For each view is going to create an array, and it's going to reach out to view model, get all these steps, and create an enumerator inside. So enumerate over those steps. Each step is going to be ID'd by element dot ID, essentially identifying each step by its own ID, and then we're gonna have our view. Our view is gonna have access to the index. Currently we are iterating over inside this for each, and the step. So we can actually use this information to create our onboarding step view with the step, and we're gonna pass view model dot screen size in here. Okay, now let's go ahead and make sure that this onboarding step view has the container relative frame in the axis of horizontal direction. This way we're gonna be able to make it same size as, like, this current screen width, and spread it, like, as for the pagination. Okay, so your entire view will cover this current screen, and it's gonna take the frame that is relative to its parent. Okay, now we're gonna ID this by index. Okay, that'll create a unique ID for each step, and then we're gonna make sure that this whole lazy H stack is taking part in modern scroll target layout. So we're gonna say scroll target layout, and as soon as we subscribe to scroll target layout, now we can use new APIs for scroll view, like scroll position, and we can programmatically provide the position information and increase and decrease the position as user swipes through the scroll view or navigate using the button. So we're gonna say keep the position updated to the view models.current index. We can also set scroll target behavior, and the behavior that we want to adopt is paging behavior. So each view inside, each subview inside the scroll view acts as a single page, and we can actually swipe through them. Okay, so one thing I want to show you, like, what this means is basically when you're on a certain page and scroll target behavior is defined as page, that means if user scrolls away a little bit, then your entire page snaps back. If they scroll enough, then the next page is visible. So that's what this scroll target behavior is doing. We want to make sure that we don't show the indicators, so we actually just hide the scrolling indicator, and we also want to make sure that scroll is not disabled. So this we can set to make sure, like, that your scroll is not disabled. By the way, you can make it conditional as well. If you want to disable the scroll through the swipe, you can actually enable this. Now we also want to create on scroll target visibility change observer. Okay, and this basically is going to observe whenever the target changes, and the ID type is int.self, because we are changing every step, like, basically visible IDs, and this gives us access to all the visible IDs that are currently there on the screen, and we can use this information to basically say, if the first ID is visible, then update the current index. Okay, so this is actually going to help us with the programmatic navigation. So if let first visible ID is visible IDs dot first, we're gonna update the view model and update current index with the first visible ID. Okay, so this is for our programmatic navigation. All right, with that, our content scroll view is, or subview is now ready, so we can actually uncomment that one. And last one is the bottom navigation view, which is very simple. It's basically just showing all the animation page indicators and onboarding navigation buttons. So combining those two buttons, so we're just gonna simply create quickly them. So private var bottom navigation view, and this is going to be an H stack with alignment as bottom, spacing as 24 points, and then we're gonna display our animated page indicator. Now this takes two parameters, total pages, so we're gonna get that information from the view model. and the current index. So current index is going to come from viewModel.current index. If it's nil, then it'll be set to 0. Okay. Underneath or on the side of the animated page indicator is where we are showing our navigation button. So we're gonna simply say this is where spacer comes in to fill the excuse me, to fill the rest of the space, and then onboarding navigation button with, so action is gonna be viewModel.navigate to next. The background color is viewModel.currentStep.accent color. The icon is, it depends on what viewModel is showing. So viewModel dot, is it the last step? If it is, then show the check mark SF symbol. Otherwise, use chevron dot right. Okay. For the accessibility label, we are going to simply say viewModel dot is last step. If it is, then complete onboarding. Otherwise, it will be next step. All right, and let's go ahead and set this. There we go. And now what we're gonna do, one last thing left, is adding some padding, and we're gonna have padding in horizontal direction for 24 points and padding at the bottom as 32 points. There we go. All right, so our last subview is also created, and with that our onboarding view is complete. Okay, now next up in the video we are going to create our onboarding step, and then we're going to create a simple home view, and put all this together inside the content view. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and we'll wrap it up in that video. Thank you.